koutou, pōmarie, mihi atu kia tātou. My PhD research is practice-led, combining art, science and technology in a transdisciplinary exploration of the virtual, using augmented reality delivered via the smartphone to distribute and display software assemblages. Drawing on Western traditions of mixed media assemblage, installation and environmental art, coupled with Māori traditions of whakairo and rāranga, I'm intrigued by the relationship between the actual and the virtual, and how this relationship might create an affective connection between the real and the ephemeral. The footage we are now viewing is from my locative art project called Maungawhau Ki Runga, The Mountain Above, a site-responsive software assemblage. The viewer, considered in this context as a user, walks around the site of Maungawhau using their smartphone to navigate to the video augments. The augments themselves are a combination of 3D models and video composites and are engaged in a perpetual process of aesthetic reconfiguration. At times, the forms appear as bird-like, kite-like or hive-like without ever actually fixing themselves to that shape. Fluid and evolutionary, these forms are produced through shifting the algorithmic parameters of the 3D models, deploying shifts in movement, position and gesture. Placing these algorithmic forms as a layer using augmented reality opens a line of inquiry into the creative remediation of our vision. According to Azuma, augmented reality, or AR, is a form of mixed reality that deploys virtual information in the concrete and physical world. So, how might we augment our lives using the smartphone? And can augmented reality create new paradigms in art? Despite the smallness of their screens, smartphones are portable, socially interactive, and context sensitive. These attributes make them ideal as devices for delivering augmented reality. The design of this research departs from the premise that if it's normal practice to pull out a smartphone and capture an image of a compelling scene, then this convention provides an opportunity for the artist to design an experimental artwork that operates alongside this behavior. When placing 3D models at a site using augmented reality, there are several techniques we can use to trigger the network, either by print, GPS, or a local folder on the device itself. Here, using the phone to read an interactive print image positioned on a marker at the site triggers an embedded video. The video we are viewing, another excerpt from my locative art project called Maungawhau Ki Runga, was filmed on the northwestern edge of Maungawhau and references flight and the airborne. The manurere, or flying bird, is a symbol of freedom and communication, while the accompanying sound design evokes the water storage reservoir beneath, as well as the very deep lava caves under this dormant volcano. Designed as an engagement between the specificity of the augments in collision with cultural, geological and archaeological influences, Ko Maungawhau Ki Runga opens Maungawhau to a virtual dimension in art, where the past is invoked to explore new possibilities for transcultural and aesthetic engagement. A second method used to trigger augments on Maungawhau utilised global positioning systems, or GPS. Through this location-aware technology, I was able to place my augments at precise coordinates of latitude and longitude. As the user walked around the site, they could navigate to the augments using their smartphone and explore these invisible interventions as they walked about the mountain. Critically, it is the agency of the user that facilitates the connectivity between memory, time, and perception, inviting a series of theoretical comparisons. Participating in this work causes the user to examine their own existing memories of the site and position these in relation to the new layer of reality that they are now offered. In the context of a discussion of Henry Bergson, media theorist Anna Munster notes, attention is an attending to, tracing how something singularly unfolds relationally. This singularization occurs dynamically in relation to previously grasped actualizations. As the user navigates to each augment, activating, perceiving, and engaging with it, they're leaving a recent past and moving to an indeterminate future. The augment we are now watching is located at the site of Te Marae Kohanga, the former marae of Maungawhau Pa, used by the Waiohua people until the 17th century. Consisting of two forms folding into one another, this 3D model symbolically references the ceremonial commingling of peoples that would have occurred at this locale. Thinking about the social life of communities in our present geopolitical sphere, Timothy Lenoir has identified an affective collectivity emerging with our portable techniques. He states that our new collective minds are deeply rooted in an emerging corporeal axiomatic. This is the domain identified by Felix Guattari as the machinic unconscious. For 21st century art practice, the issue of how the individuated user will couple with such an affective collectivity is not only an issue of context within their localized cultural sphere, but pushes toward the extended mind of global virtual culture. Once we have viewed an augment at a particular location, we cannot think of that place in the same way. Our memory archives this intervention so that our experience of the site is now inseparable from our experience of the augment. In this way, inserting augments into the everyday instantiates a radical remediation of our everyday topology. An ancient Māori whakatauki or proverb is pertinent here. Ki mua ki muri, or the past is the future. This saying can be treated as providing a conceptual window to a Māori approach to time as non-chronological and deeply vested in a notion of the present as embodying both the past and the future. The past is not expressed as a remnant or ruin as in the conventional Western paradigm. Rather, it is vital and alive with every moment. Philosophically, ki mua ki muri can be seen as a strategy, wherein the past as virtual is actualized in the present. A strategy which, while from a very distinct tradition, finds points of resonance with Gilles Deleuze's notion of time as folded and Henry Bergson's embodied sense of durée, or the unfolding duration. Hiika I te po, or night fishing, is an interactive event designed to engage the audience at the site of a recreational and commercial fishing location, and is part of the Oceanic Performance Biennial this November in Wynyard Quarter. The user plays an active role as a fisher person by establishing a site-specific situation where they become a performative participant. The design of the work reflects a symbolic joining of three elements: earth, sea, and sky. This is physically expressed as a nodal connection between the user, who stands on the earth, the augments, hosted on a cloud-based server, and the creatures, imaginary yet latent within the metaphorical depths of the ocean below the wall. The smartphone becomes a symbolic interface with which you fish, and much like the real act of fishing, you never quite know what you'll pull up. Symbiosis, in an ecological sense, is a core design principle of this research. Site, work, and user are not treated as separate entities. Rather, they are in a process of responding to one another, an unstable network of molecular relations that signals unexpected forms of cultural production. This is not a situation where we might ask, where does the site begin and the work end? Rather, we ask what affects, functions and activities does the work elucidate in regard to the site. While the user has been cast in a performative role, their decisions are guided by the design of the work and in particular the energies of the site, aspects which will not operate in the same way on the same bodies. Life in what has become known as the Anthropocene, this current epoch, as articulated by Paul Crutzen, is a combination of actual and virtual ways of knowing, acting and being. Augmented reality through the smartphone affords the user with an accessible and mobile virtuality. In a moment, through an interactive and performative artwork, we will together utilise this environment to explore some of the ways the virtual can both enhance and shift our perception.
Countdown start. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Launch.
Good evening. I'm Rewa. I'm from Elam School of Fine Arts. I'm an artist and practice-based researcher, currently doing my PhD in the area of 3D modelling, augmented reality and digital interactive performative artwork. You've been watching my video and I think that it gives a fairly true representation of my work at this time. And what I would like to do is show you a little situation that I've established for us in this room. When you normally go into an art gallery, what we find are objects, paintings, sculptures, photographs. Even the virtual work, the moving image work, resides in an object, a screen, normally mounted on the wall. What I have for you tonight is quite a different experience, and it's an experience motivated by touch, by the haptic. I've been researching ocean acidification, and I have an upcoming work at the Oceanic Performance Biennial, which is taking place in, I won't point it at you, taking place in Wynyard Quarter this November. The Tamaki region used to be known as the place where the fish were so succulent you could eat them bones and all, and unfortunately this is no longer the case. Due to acidification, due to carbon dioxide levels in the water, what we're going to find in the future is that our fish species are smaller than ever before. So this work addresses some of those issues and creates a fictional situation where we might ask, what will our future sea creatures look like? The idea of this work is that if you have your own device here, you would be able to walk around it, you would be able to navigate about these augments while they were placed inside. As you can see, it's created quite a different conception of the room from what we could see before. If all of you here had your own portable media devices, you'd also be able to experience this with me. Catherine Hales has theorised that currently our bodies are actually developing alongside our portable media devices, particularly in the age group of people who are 18 to 30, not so much in those of us over 30. What we find in the future is that people are going to be more attached to their devices, and in fact we already use our iPads and our iPhones and our digital cameras, the computer RAM that this affords, as memory aids, so that rather than using our neural network to remember experiences, we are simply archiving them on our computers. And this is slowly changing the way that we think and the way that we perceive.